don't let your disability get the best of you. Uh, it is not over. Life is not over. You are more than capable of doing whatever you want as long as you put your mind to it and you work hard toward it. It's rewarding in itself. It really is. Looking at me, I had to work my butt off to get to where I am now. It was not easy in the beginning. I failed at a lot of stuff. And that's another thing. There will be failures, but keep working at it, because the more you work at it, the more easier it's going to become, and the more easier it's going to become, the more successful you will be.
Hey everyone, it's Carrie from Live Accessible, and today on the interview series, we have a very special guest, Ryan Fox, the amazing blind magician. Yes, that's right, the amazing blind magician, here to tell us his story and what he does. So go ahead, introduce yourself, Ryan. Tell us about you, your vision, and just anything you want to share.
Okay. Well, yes, my name is Ryan Fox, and like she said, my name is the amazing blind magician. I actually have that name trademarked, so it is mine. I have been performing magic for about 24 years, but doing it professionally for the last 14 years. I've actually trained myself how to do magic without sight, so I've actually learned how to feel what I'm doing versus seeing what I'm doing. Vision wise, I actually lost my vision when I was about 9 years old. I was diagnosed with a malignant brain tumor that is called medulloblastoma, and it's actually kind of common around children around the age of 9, surprisingly. But for the longest time, I had symptoms of just being constantly nauseous, losing balance, loss of sight, and we did not know what it was because my vitals came up normal until one day I had an MRI, and sure enough, there is a brain tumor the size of a grapefruit that was
Oh my
actually
goodness.
right positioned on my brainstem. And because of the size of it, it was causing fluid to build up in my head, and the fluid was actually putting pressure on my optic nerves. So my optic nerves, by the time they removed the tumor, was already damaged. Plus, chemotherapy, radiation, and other medication did not help as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
And it's interesting because if you actually look at my optic nerves through like MRI scans or whatever, you can actually see that there is literally no blood flow through the optic nerve, and it's
Wow.
actually pretty much a miracle. I have some sight. I am considered legally blind, but my vision is not stable. It is deteriorating slowly over time. But my eyes are actually using cones and rods right at the very bottom of the iris. So if you were to talk with me in person, you would actually notice that I'm actually looking above you, whereas in reality, I'm actually looking right at you.
I totally understand that because I have nystagmus.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, it's not the same, obviously, but when I look at people, like my eyes move around everywhere, even though I
Hmm.
am like to my best ability looking at the person. If
It's
especially
pretty
if they don't know
right at
me.
you.
Mhm. Especially if they don't know me. They have that kind of attitude like, "Look at me,"
Yeah.
or, "Why are your eyes moving like that?" So I totally understand. Before you were 9, did you have any eye conditions or were you visually impaired?
Well, actually, when I was in elementary school, my eyes would actually cross. I was cross-eyed. But with that, I actually wore an eye patch when I was younger, and that actually helped with the crossing out the eyes. Other than that, everything was pretty much normal. But surprisingly, I have no memory of what normal vision looks like.
Wow, okay. And did you get into magic before you were 9 or after you lost your sight?
I actually got into magic when I was 9, and it was actually while I was in the hospital because I had to relearn all of my motor skills because the tumor was putting pressure on that part of the brain that holds that information. So I had to learn all my motor skills, and to help with that, my mom actually got me a magic kit, and this
Oh,
wasn't the cheap. plastic stuff you see today. This was like a magic kit that was made for the beginning magician, like custom made wood, tricks, metal, uh, basically everything you could imagine for a beginning magician to have. And I was horrible at the age of 9. But the first thing I do remember, and this is why I kept going on with the magic, was originally I am actually from England, surprisingly.
Really? I didn't
And
know that.
yeah, I was born and raised in England, and we just moved to the United States. This is when all the brain tumor and everything happened. So I had no idea what baseball was. And I was at Boston Children's Hospital at the time. We were actually in what was called the Jimmy Fund Clinic. And the Boston Red Sox were actually coming in. Some of them just in there just to visit the case, some of them in there for publicity. And I actually had Jose Canseco from the Red Sox actually come up to my bed. And it's like, do you know who I am? And I'm like, no. Let me see your ring. So he actually pulled off his like $5,000 MLB championship ring, gave it to me. I just put it in a little silk handkerchief, put it in a box, gave him the box. The ring was gone, and the look on his face was just like, okay, seriously, this sick kid just made my ring disappear. What happened? And I guess that that was the bug. That was a bug that got me. But over time, yes, it kind of fell on and off and everything until I got into high school and started doing talent shows. And of course, by then, I had bigger and better tricks and everything, and everybody loved it. Even just during high school, they were just like, "Dude, do you have a trick?" And I would just do a trick for them. And it was about uh 2005 where I started to try and start this professionally.
Hmm.
And I mean, I was still in high school at the time. I graduated 2007. Um, and I have to admit that starting out was very rough. I mean, it's always rough for a beginning magician, but it was even harder for me because people saw my disability before they could see my talent.
Yeah.
Which is
Totally.
kind of a setback. It's just like, what do I do now? But over time with volunteer work and everything, it kind of grew and the word got out, and now I've been doing this pretty much all over Arizona. I've actually gotten the chance to go to California, Salt Lake City. Um, I've actually been to the Magic Castle in Hollywood.
Oh,
I've also
really?
gone to
Wow.
Las Vegas and performed. So I'm kind of getting up there. I mean, it's still slowly growing because I've only been to a few states, but hopefully that can advance over time.
That is awesome. And so, like, tell me about being visually impaired and, being a magician at the same time, because a lot of it is very visual,
It
people would
is.
say. So, how do you deal with that? How do you accommodate?
Um. Well, it's a very interesting question, and now I have to think now. Um. It's interesting because you can buy tricks where you just have written instructions, which is a pain in the butt for me. Because I have to then actually break out my magnifiers, but still, even using magnifiers, reading the instructions doesn't really make sense. So then, what I will do is I'm actually part of a online magician club, where you have to have a certain number in order to access the website. So I have like an ID number.
Hmm.
And from there, you can actually put in the search bar the name of the trick, and they will actually show you demonstrations of what it's supposed to look like. And they will talk about what moves you have to do. And from there, because I have enough knowledge, I then know how to do it. Um, I mean, they say that anyone that walks into a magic shop can buy a trick and learn it by that evening. But what makes a true magician is someone that can put a story behind it and make it more than a magic trick.
Oh, I
Um,
never thought of that. Uh-huh.
yes. There are also tricks where you actually get DVD instructions or downloadable instructions, which are a lot easier for me because when I watch TV or whatever, I have to stand literally right in front of the screen
Mhm.
for me to see everything normally. Or I have a new device called Iris Vision, which allows me to actually sit on the couch and watch TV like the screen's right in front of my face, and it gives all the detail that you need.
When you're actually performing, is there any, anything that you have to deal with being visually impaired? Um,
Trying to find victims to come up on stage. It's always it's always an issue, because normally I can see the people that are in the front row, but everybody's behind. It's like I want to have them involved, but being as I can't really see people's faces because it's just I see the shadows of the eyes and that's about it.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if I picked that person before or if they're a brand new spectator to come up to do the trick. So
Hmm.
most of the time, what I will do is I will pick people from the front row first and then work my way back. So that's what accommodation I have learned over the years. Because it's not like going into the audience and picking random people. Because again, I won't know if I picked that person before. So I kind of go from
Oh,
row to row to row.
gotcha. Okay. And what about actually dealing with the equipment or the stage or anything? Is there any thing you have to practice or deal with
Right. Well,
related
I
to
mean,
your?
as a magician, I have to practice my stuff constantly.
Well, yeah, I mean, I
Well,
can guess that, but like, I mean, something related to your vision.
as I was starting to really get big in Arizona, my issue was having sound equipment because I could not afford some of the big time equipment that you're supposed to have because that costs
Mhm.
thousands of dollars. But about 2 years ago, I actually came across a device. It is a speaker. It's a guitar amp, but it has Bluetooth capabilities on it, so I can just hook my phone up through Bluetooth and just have my music play off of that, as well as plugging in my microphone wirelessly to that, and I'm pretty much good to go. And I have my speaker out of the way, so I'm not going to trip over it. I mean, for the longest time, my biggest problem were wires, because I would trip over wires constantly.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
So I had to find the alternative of getting a wireless mic. So that now works. Some of the magic tricks I cannot do because it requires vision. So of course I had to think to myself, okay, how can I do this and get around the whole visual perspective of doing it? And there are actually quite a few tricks that I do that I have altered so that a blind person can do it. Where it's still the same effect, but the method behind it is 100% different.
Oh,
I
that's
actually
really
have
interesting.
there's a TV show that I really want to try and get on that's called Penn and Teller Fool Us, and that's where you actually go and perform in front of Penn and Teller, who are like the biggest magicians, and they're actually known as the encyclopedia of magic because they know everything. But I actually have a magic trick that they know, but they do not know my method. And
Huh.
as far as I know, I am the only person in the world to perform this trick with this method.
Is there a magic trick that you could perform for the video?
Yes, actually, if you give me a moment, let me grab something. Okay, so it's just a pen, and I guarantee it is a pen. I've actually done this in public multiple times, and people can look at the pen. I don't know why they would look at the pen afterwards, because you will see why. So there's that.
Wait, what did you just say? I couldn't see it.
Are you blind?
Wait, could you do it again? Where I'm zoomed in.
Yes, yes. It's where I take the pen and I shove it up my nose and out my
Oh
mouth.
my, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Yeah, like once I have that zoomed in, I'm like, wait, how did you do that?
Well, I could tell you, but then I would have to kill you afterwards.
No, no, that's okay.
No, well, actually, one of my favorite things. People always ask me, "How do you do that?" And my favorite thing to say is like, "Well, that depends. Can you keep a secret?" And of course, their answer is yes. And I'm like, "Great, so can I." And I just walk away.
Well, that's a
You're
good
not gonna
answer.
know what it is. I will give you hopes that I'm going to tell you, but I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, how did you do that?
Well,
Okay.
keep wondering.
I guess I will have to do that. So, Ryan, you told me earlier that, especially in the beginning, there was a lot of bias or kind of people not being sure of your talent because
Yeah.
of your disability. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
At the time, this is way before I had a guide dog, so I'm a cane user. Sorry, a cane user, and I would actually have to self promote myself because I didn't have the knowledge back then how to use the internet and whatnot. I was still very new at using iPhones, but still using the internet was like, how do I do this? How do I have stuff read to me? And self promoting, I would actually go into restaurants after making an appointment with the manager, and I would go in and I would talk to them what I do, what my specialities are, and and of course as a magician, and I know this because I have a DVD that teaches you how to become a street magician or a restaurant magician, what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. So I was fully prepared. And one of the things that you're supposed to do is to have magic on you to perform for the manager so they can see what you're capable of. Because if you wow the manager, most likely you're supposed to get a job. Um, I didn't even get a chance to pull out the magic. He just said, "Look, just with your situation, you might be a liability, so we can't exactly have you here." And at the time, I did not know about the Americans with Disabilities Act either, so I didn't know that that was kind of like a crime at the time.
Wow. Your
Uh,
liability.
yeah,
I
a
hate
lot,
when they use that. That's
and that happened a lot. But then I got into volunteer work, and they were open to it because they just thought, okay, I just need my moment of doing stuff. But then they could actually see that, like when I start out, I only have like a person at my table doing magic, but within 15 minutes I then have 40 people around me doing magic and entertaining a whole crowd of people. And
yeah.
that's when those people that were in charge of the volunteer work were just like, oh, we got to have this guy back.
So,
So
where did you volunteer, if I can ask?
um I actually volunteer for a group that's called Hope Kids. And Hope Kids is an organization, it's a nonprofit, so they have to raise up their own money. But they actually put together events for children that have cancer or
Oh,
have
wow.
had
Okay.
cancer.
Yeah.
So they will put together, a day where they get to go to the movie for free, where they get free popcorn and food and stuff. We also have a day where we actually put together a small fair for the kids. And of course, I would always be the entertainment.
Well,
So
that's great.
basically, it's just trying to give kids that have cancer that moment of just forgetting what they have so that they
Mhm.
can actually be a kid.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
forgetting
I'm
about that and
also,
have some fun.
yeah, I also now work with a group that's called Children's Cancer Network that's here in Arizona. And I actually do Christmas parties for them. I do just private birthday parties for them, and I get paid. One of my favorite things is when we do a cancer walk, and because I've had cancer, I'm actually the oldest survivor in that group, so I'm an ambassador to all the kids and families.
Oh,
And it's
wow.
actually held at Grand Canyon University, and basically it's just a huge campus that I believe we've had about, let me see what happened, because we recently had it. They had about over 6,000 people there.
That's
And
amazing. I love everything that you're involved with and doing. That's great.
well, it's taken a lot of work to get there, but I'm just happy how it is right now.
So,
Um,
what were you
so
going to
I mean, like I was saying, like I do tricks for all the kids that have cancer, and of course families that pass by. I recently got my hands on a new trick where I make a table float in midair,
I saw
and
that
I
on YouTube.
actually have spectators be involved in the trick. And I'm doing this outside of the tent that I'm working at, and of course I literally have all the people that are passing by. I have about 50 people that just stopped and just stared at me with this floating table, and I'm just like, "Hi, how you doing?"
I saw that on YouTube and I was like, how is
Yeah.
it? How did it? Is this video like altered or something?
I can guarantee what you see is what you will get in real time.
That is awesome. Like I was wondering if somebody were to pass by while you're doing the whole table floating thing, would a blind person be able to like touch it? Would it still float
Oh yeah,
to feel?
yeah. That's another thing. I've tried to accommodate some of the tricks that I do so that a fully blind person will be able to enjoy it.
That's awesome.
Such as a table, they can touch it. They can touch the bottom, they can touch the top, they can see that there are no wires or anything, and it is what it is. So a person that can see, um, will be able to see it, whereas a blind person will be able to feel it.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Sometime we need to get like all the blind people and go. You can have a show for us.
Well, let's make it happen.
That'd be awesome. So, with
Yeah.
all your experience, Ryan, and your life experience and what you went through with cancer and the tumor and your eye condition, what's some encouragement that you can share to anybody else that's blind or visually impaired or just has a disability?
Well, I mean, this goes without saying for anyone that has a visual impairment or if you're fully blind. Um, don't let your disability get the best of you. Uh, it is not over. Life is not over. You are more than capable of doing whatever you want as long as you put your mind to it and you work hard toward it. It's rewarding in itself. It really is. I mean, looking at me, I mean, I had to work my butt off to get to where I am now. It was not easy in the beginning. I failed at a lot of stuff. And that's another thing. There will be failures, but keep working at it, because the more you work at it, the more easier it's going to become, and the more easier it's going to become, the more successful you will be.
Great words. I love that. Yeah, that is so true. Just keep going, and with a lot of support and encouragement and just resources that we have and the technology that we have now, we can do so much more
Yeah.
than what people think and what we think.
Yes. Well, I funny enough, with the Irish Vision, I recently took a trip with a friend to the Grand Canyon, and I for the first time in my life could actually see all the details of the Grand Canyon, because normally without it, it just looks like a great big gray blob
Hmm.
to me. And with the Iris Vision, it's like I'm so glad we have the technology so that I can really appreciate what I can see. Because the thing is, with someone that has normal vision, they don't really understand how much they take that for granted. Whereas someone in our position, if we actually had the ability to see what normal vision is like again, we have like the fullest, utmost appreciation for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the age-old saying of you never know what you have until you don't have it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
And I think it. I mean, with people in our situation, you know, things can be difficult, but you do appreciate the finer things in life. That, I mean, that is my opinion, because I certainly appreciate the finer things in life. Where it's like, yes, I wish I could drive a car, but I also have the knowledge of taking a city bus, how to use paratransit, how to call for Lyft and everything. So I'm not deprived of transportation. So I
Mm.
know how to get around. I know how to get out of my house.
We might not
It's
get to point A and to B the same way, but we still get there.
Yes, exactly. It's like they have the self-driving cars, but at the same time, I'm like, do I really want to pay for the car and make payments on the car? Do I really want to pay for repairing the car? Do I really want to pay for car insurance? Do I really want to pay for gas? Because that's honestly, that's money I don't have.
Well, I don't know if it becomes mainstream where it's completely autonomous and it's complete well pretty much statistically safer than a regular car or whatever,
Yeah.
and when it's like the same price as like a regular car, I think I might want to do that.
Okay.
But
Well, that's just an opinion.
oh yeah, no, I
Yeah.
mean it's
So
interesting though. It's interesting how we different people think differently. And
yeah,
I mean, we're all able to have our own opinions, and we do things. Even people that are visually impaired and blind, we might still do things differently from each other.
yeah. Well, I mean, this is because of my guide dog. If it wasn't for him, um, I would have never learned how to fly by myself. And I mean, that's why I was saying earlier, you know, I've gone to California, I've gone to the Magic Castle and everything. That's because I've actually flown out there. And normally, if I was just a cane user, I wouldn't have the confidence to do that. But I mean,
Mhm.
for my guide dog, it was like, okay, let me figure out how to call the airline. Let me figure out how I can get someone to help me to get to the gate, and how to, actually get onto the airplane, and then from the airplane to the next airport and get to the baggage claim and everything. And I also figured it out all by myself, and it's a lot easier than what most people think.
Yeah, it's
Because
very true. I mean, me and Pablo just came back from Las Vegas, and we're both blind, so
right,
in a way, you have to really work at the independence that we have. You can't just
yeah,
sit back and expect everything kind of given to you. You have to like go after it proactively.
yeah. I mean, for me, I think it's a little bit more interesting when you go through the TSA security at the airport, because then you get the question of, "Sir, do you realize you have a dove in your backpack?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am very aware of that."
But you have a
And
what in your
a
backpack?
dove, like a turtle dove.
Oh, a real
It's a
turtle
fake one. It's a fake one, but it comes up on the scanner as you have a bird in your backpack.
dove.
And I'm like, yes, I'm very aware I have birds in my backpack. And they're like, are they real? I'm like, no, no, they're made of rubber.
That's hilarious.
So at least I can say that, as a magician, I have those very interesting moments of like, uh, sir, I'm not sure what I'm seeing in your bag here.
I could just imagine their face. Like a what?
Yeah. Well, what was funny is they wanted me to open my bag. Um, because I explained to them that I'm a magician. I'm actually going to go do a show. And last time I was at the security point, they wanted me to open my bag. So of course I pulled out the doves for them to see, and they were fine with that. And then I started pulling out this 9-foot pole magic wand out of my backpack, and they were like, "Okay, my brain hurts now. How, like, a 9-foot pole wand coming out of a backpack that's only like 2 feet high or something?"
Oh my goodness. That must be an
Yeah,
adventure.
I have my interesting moments. I play with it.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun messing with this actually.
Yes, it is. I mean, it has its ups and downs, but
Yeah.
the one thing that you have to understand is have fun with your
Mhm.
situations.
Exactly, yeah. Sometimes you just need to stop, and instead of getting mad, you just have to laugh.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and that's the one thing I definitely try to do, especially like if I'm in a situation where I have a guide dog and someone has a problem with the dog, is degrading and insulting as it feels. The best thing to do is just to be calm about it. Um,
Mhm.
because if you escalate it to where everyone's yelling, it's gonna make the whole situation even worse.
Mhm,
Um,
absolutely. I
even if
agree.
even if you don't have a guide dog and someone's giving you a hard time with your vision,
And sometimes in those
yeah,
times, I mean, it's difficult for me still, but especially in those moments, it's a good time to educate
yeah,
around at least the people that are receptive anyway.
yeah. Well, I mean, even on YouTube, I will get I will watch channels that I like to watch, and I will make a comment on it, and then someone will comment back saying, "If you're blind, how are you typing?"
Oh yeah, I always get
And
that. I'm just like,
I just
really?
write technology, just leave it at that, and I get nothing back. Or one of them was like, "Okay, so you're a magician, so how are you typing?" And I just write magic and leave it at that.
I actually, I don't know if you know him, but Juan from JC5 Productions,
Yes.
he made a video about like the whole situation with that lady or woman that was using a cell phone and had a cane, and like the whole internet blew up and saying she's faking it and blah blah blah. And he made a video talking about like how we use technology and everything. So
Yeah.
I've kind of, whenever I get that question, I just like link to that video and I'm like, I don't even want to explain. I'll just link this here. Watch it.
Yeah.
Like, because
Well,
sometimes it can get tiring because it's like we're in the we're in 2000 and almost 2020. We're in
yeah.
2019, and come
Yeah.
on, we have all this technology, and you don't think
Yeah.
that they made
We have the
the
technology.
technology for people who are blind and visually impaired? No, come on.
Yeah, really.
It's amazing what society, thinks sometimes, because
Yeah.
a lot of it is just inexperience, and
Y-
sorry to say,
The lack
it's
of
not. Yeah,
education.
exactly. They
Yeah.
just don't know.
Well, one of my goals in the future, and I really hope that this could work one day in the future, where we actually get people from all over that are blind and visually impaired, and we actually put together this festival where we can all have like our own vendor stands all over, and we invite the public to come, and it's just a huge event of entertainment by yours truly, but also having other people walking up to the other vendors, and it's just a whole festival of education.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
we can get a huge variety of people that actually can learn. Okay, these people are blind, but oh my gosh, they've done so much more in their lives than what we think.
exactly. And that's part of why I do YouTube, and a lot of people,
Hmm.
um, it's to have that information accessible to people who aren't blind or visually impaired, that
Yeah,
are sighted, that if they come across our my videos or your videos or Matt's videos or whoever's videos, that they'll realize that blind people are able. We're not, you
yeah,
know. There's this shirt that I saw. It's like, I'm blind, I'm not stupid. Sometimes I'm like,
exactly.
yeah, for real though. So
It's kind of like one of those moments where like someone comes up to you and they start talking loudly to you. It's like, I'm blind. I'm not deaf.
Yeah,
My
so
my vision does not affect my hearing.
exactly. And
Yeah.
it's again, it's just lack of awareness, and that's what we all do, and each one of us plays a part in that in changing society.
Hmm. That's one thing that I do love about the blind community being on social media as well as YouTube and everything is that it really shows what we can do in our lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, is there any last words that you want to share with anyone, everybody?
For everybody that is already visually impaired, keep doing what you are doing, do what you love, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't let anyone say that you can't do this or you can't do that. If you know you can do it and you can do it well and it's something that you love to do, keep doing it. For those that are new to being blind or visually impaired, it's not over. It's just the beginning. You're just having a different view of life, but take full advantage of it.
Well, thank you for being on this show, and thank you for your words. Thank you for sharing your story. And definitely for the audience, thank you for watching.
Yeah.
And definitely check out Ryan's channel, which I will link up right here. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Live Accessible, right here. And if you want to watch more videos, they're going to pop up right here. And thank you again, Ryan. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.